Empires on the Run. Alex Jones and the GCN Radio Network.
From the water table to our soils to the atmosphere itself, our world is becoming more and more toxic each and every day. But it's not just the air outside that's toxic. Indoor air has been shown to have 2 to 5 times higher concentrations of pollutants than even outdoor air. And most Americans spend 90% of their time inside using toxic chemicals within their homes. There are more than 42 million smokers in the United States. Well over 1,000 types of mold and mildew linked to numerous conditions. And don't forget the fact that 6 million Americans live with pets they're allergic to as well. When I began to research these statistics, it was clear to me it was time to start cleansing my lungs in order to combat the toxic environment that we cannot escape but that we can fight back against. Made with organic and wild cultivated herbs and manufactured in the USA, the new InfoWars Life Lung Cleanse is here in a convenient spray bottle that can be brought with you throughout any toxic environment. Now available exclusively at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. I began to get into iodine a few years ago because it was helping me and my family so much get healthy and detoxify. Most people know that iodine deficiency has been a crisis around the world. Iodine is key to so many of the body's functions, especially the thyroid. I discovered a product being developed by Dr. Group. You now know it as Survival Shield True Nascent Iodine that your body can really absorb. Then, about a year ago, he said, listen, if you think this is powerful, I'm going to come out with rare earth, deep earth crystals. And the results that I personally have had have been life-changing. Nobody else has got iodine based on these pure crystals, ladies and gentlemen. This is innovating, and the best part is it helps fund Infowars.com, the radio show, the TV show, the whole media operation promoting true libertarian ideas. For a limited time, experience the ancient power of Survival Shield X2. Take advantage of this unprecedented 30% off super detox special at InfoWarsLife.com.
This is Scottish John for Infowars.com. I know that most of you here in this commercial already know about the New World Order, eugenics, and all the other issues covered here at Infowars. The question is, do your friends and family know? If not, then I want to know why. Oh, I know it's tough to talk about this with some people. They might call you names, or they just want to talk about sports or soap operas. I say, so what? There's a battle going on out there right now. The ammunition is information, and the soldiers are you. It's time to transform your game from passive listener to active participant. We from Scotland have had our skin in this game for the greater part of the last 1,000 years, and I'm still fighting. If we don't all stand up right now, we're going to lose everything. The InfoWar is worldwide. Tell your friends about InfoWars and let them know that InfoWars doesn't print bull. It's real journalism and news backed up by documented fact. Step up and take your friends and family to Infowars.com, PrisonPlanet.tv, and PlanetInfowars.com. The truth will set them free.
Defending the Republic from enemies, foreign and domestic. It's Alex Jones.
I've been on air 20 years. It'll be 20 years in about a month. And by 1996, as a libertarian promoting liberty, I had police chiefs contacting me in major cities, emergency managers, engineers, who were aware of all this stuff going into place behind the scenes. And I would go on air and talk about it, so I would get sent more data. Then I got syndicated. That's the reason I realized how much trouble we were in before a lot of other folks, was because a lot of people out there in the system who knew more than I did were basically using me as a conduit to get stuff out to the public. So I can't take credit for being light years ahead of everybody else. But now we don't have an excuse. This stuff is out in the open thanks to heroes like William Edward Benny, who could make a lot of money working for the private contractors and the big companies that are making tens of billions of dollars a year milking this. 800,000 people, the Washington Post reported last year, 840-something thousand, have access to all this spy data. And I'm no engineer, but I am a geopolitical researcher. It just sounds like insider trading, people harassing friends and family. It sounds like a way to corner markets. It sounds like a way for real terrorists or criminals to know if the good guys are after them. It just sounds like a devil's workshop on steroids with a helping of PCP to have 800,000 contractors in this. And now we know the NSA has used this stuff in other agencies. Because remember, this is given to dozens of other agencies, federal and state, to then just go out and harass their wives, their husbands, their neighbors, their competition, to plant stuff under Sneak and Peek and the Patriot Act on computers. I mean, it's just a Pandora's box of making us insecure and destroying our free market. Again, I'm not some 200 IQ super brain like William Binney, who headed up their major technical department and director of technical intelligence. I mean, that's the actual, to use a Starship Trooper analogy, brain bug. Okay, but just at my gut level gestalt, sir, did I hit on anything that is important, what I just said?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole point is that this is drifting toward a government, a central government that's like J. Edgar Hoover on super steroids. They have the knowledge and background of virtually everybody in the country, and that gives them a basis for blackmail and influence peddling. So that's the way they can get things done, leverage against individuals and make sure that, like, for example, when Nancy Pelosi said impeaching George Bush is off the table, the leverage he had was she was a part of these programs, so she'd have to impeach herself.
So they get everybody to be part of it, including local police, and now they're all part of the cult.
Exactly, and now they all have to defend themselves. Otherwise, they all fall.
That's how Julius Caesar took over Rome. I mean, this has been Sir, is this not an orchestrated, diabolical plan, then?
It sure seems that way. At least it's being done, and the administrations as they come in keep perpetuating it. Well, I mean, from Russ Tice, who was a former also an NSA whistleblower, he has been saying that for a long time that they've been transcribing phone calls and conversations and emails of U.S. representatives and senators and judges in the federal courts as well as the Supreme Court.
Well, that's now come out. The CIA is spying on the Senate.
Yep, and that's just CIA. NSA is much more powerful at that. So that just means that they're assembling all that blackmail information for leverage.
Gosh, and correct me if I'm wrong. Doesn't having 800,000 contractors, just contractors, hooked into this? I mean, if I wanted to bring down a government or a country, I would let 800,000 people have access to this panopticon-type system, because it would then leak everywhere, and then the country would be insecure. I mean, this sounds like the opposite of what I would want to do if I wanted to have a secure, safe country.
Yeah, that's exactly correct. I mean, I objected to this in the late 90s when they first started doing this, outsourcing to contractors. I was objecting to it then because I didn't think it was a smart idea to do that, just under the principle of exporting, giving away your trade secrets as a business to companies. And that's fundamentally what it is. It's you're giving away the trade secrets, how you acquire data, how you look at data, that kind of thing. And that's exposed to all these contractors.
And imagine how easy it is for foreign states and foreign corporations to then penetrate and compromise the contractors.
Yeah, that's right. That's happened any number of times down through history. I mean, that is a kind of a weakness that, they could even hire the contractors too. Later on, after their contracts were done with NSA, they could hire them as contractors over their way too. Although, they do have a non-disclosure agreement that says they won't disclose anything they've discussed. I mean, they take with them the knowledge of what they experienced while they were there, and they can apply that knowledge and techniques to other things without actually compromising what they were doing in NSA.
Incredible.
But effectively, it means the same thing. I mean, you're still giving that expertise away.
It's amazing to get your insight here on air. William Binney is our guest. I want to go to some phone calls, 800-259-9231, specifically questions for the highest level NSA whistleblower of all time. He was in the top 4 position there. Some say even the number 3 position, the director, the technical leader for intelligence with the NSA. I have a whole bunch of Twitter questions from Real Alex Jones here for you, sir. But first off, anything else you'd like to add before we go to these calls?
I just think we as a country and we as a people need to decide whether or not we're going to continue to tolerate this. I don't think we should. I mean, this is not consistent with our founding principles. We need to make this a major issue in the upcoming election in November. And when the politicians come around to solicit your votes and talk to you and all, you should raise these issues with them and say, look, if you don't start facing up and starting to live and protect and defend the Constitution, we are going to fire you. And we need to pass that message to them very strongly. Otherwise, they're going to sit there and drift along and do whatever they want to do. You have to threaten them with their jobs. That's the only thing that will make them do anything. That's what I think we need to do. I mean, I don't see any other way out of this.
Sure. I totally agree with your statement there. R.C. Patterson asked on Twitter, he says, Mr. Benny, any advice on how to mess or scramble the profile data with NSA is doing on us, i.e. web credit, purchase, etc.? I would just say everyone always thinks about how to get around it. How about we politically change it and stop the whole thing that's wrong? But until we get there, what would you do to protect your private information?
Actually, I do absolutely nothing. And the reason is because there's virtually, I'm a target, and so there's virtually nothing I could do anyway. So anything they wanted to get from me, they could actively attack my computer to get it, or do other sneak and peek kind of invasions of my house, like the FBI normally does. They do sneak and peeks to implant things in the house to listen to you and all that kind of stuff. So I know I'm a target, so therefore I don't really try to do anything at all. In fact, I don't want to, because I want them to know everything I'm saying about them.
I'm the same way. I have the exact same policy.
Yeah. Well, so I really don't know what anybody could individually do. I mean, I wouldn't. As long as you don't as long as you don't become visible to them for some reason or other, they won't target you. I don't think they'll look at your profile. But if you do something that irritates them, why, they'll call up your profile and start looking at you, though. So I don't, and I'm not sure really. I mean, you could try to use Tor. Tor is an annoyance to them. It helps anonymize what you're doing on the web. That is some impediment. It causes them some difficulty. If they target you, of course, they can go around that. So
one way to do it is jamming it with disinformation, garbage, just creating totally random profiles, just doing weird things. That'll create kind of plaques of clouds that will, I think, alter the profile. But I'd say look, it's criminal, it's illegal, and have the profile full of stuff exposing them so they're aware with their sample rate just how many people are awake to them.
Yeah, that's what I try to do. I make sure anything I say, if I refer to them, I refer to them in a way that makes it perfectly clear what I think of them.
Well, it's organized crime in a revolution against our civilization. I mean, do you agree with that statement? They have organized in a racketeering operation to openly violate everyone's rights en masse, lie about it, get caught, and keep lying.
Well, that certainly is an analogy that would work. I mean, I don't think they've taken the final step, like they haven't done what the Stasi does, like incarcerate you. But they discredit you and kind of try to embarrass you and get you out of the way. They just don't put you in the gulag or something, you know. That step has not been taken yet.
Well,
I mean,
they're starting to try.
Yeah, that doesn't mean it can't be.
Absolutely. Look at Dinesh D'Souza and his film.
Yeah.
Let's go to a phone call. Again, William Benny, who is a real hero, is our guest. Catherine has a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, actually, I do. I have a question for Mr. Benny. I'm from Canada, which is not from USA, but like geopolitically speaking, I'm scared that Russia's going to trench over the border. There's no oceans. There's no nothing to stop them. What are we should we be worried in Canada about Russia marching over the Arctic?
Mr. Benny, you have had some things to say recently about the Russia situation. Russia is saying that they may take part of the Arctic that borders them. I don't see Russia in an offensive mode right now, but maybe you can correct me.
No, I don't. But this is also one of my I'm actually an NSA advocate, okay? But I'm an advocate in the form of doing the right thing. Now, what's happened is when they went to this bulk acquisition of data that's diverted the effort and intensity and investigation into areas that aren't relevant to anything that's important, and that takes away from other areas like being able to watch the militaries of the Russians or any other country.